Right. What's up, Blueprint family? Thank you all for joining us tonight. So last night we talked about a wife's purpose, and to complement that, of course, we're going to talk about a husband's purpose. Yep. And so
Mhm.
thank you for joining us. As always, this is a live call-in show. If it's something that you want to talk about, discuss, comment about, by all means, please. We love the interaction. Please let us interact with you. If you feel like it's a topic that you will want to discuss, please, drop it in the comments, and then we can also discuss these things for a whole nother show the following day. You can also go to www.wifeconomics.com/submit a question, and we will be more than glad to cover that for you. So with that being said, let's get into the topic for tonight.
Yeah, a husband's purpose. I think this is a great question. Well, not question, but topic, because it highlights the very important role of being a husband. Because if there was no men to be husbands, then there would be no wives. So this is a very, very important role that, I think hasn't been talked about as much when it's talking about, like, the role of a husband, his purpose through his family. And I think it should be celebrated and talked about more. Sometimes when I used to overhear conversations of, like, young boys talking to older guys or whatever, they would always glamorize, not getting married and, having lots of women. And, it's never the idea of, oh, well, what are you doing to prepare yourself for marriage? Not so much pressure or highlighted like it is for a woman.
Right, yeah, most definitely. There's a lot of benefits of marriage, especially for men, and it's all involved in about changing the mindset of men into
Mhm.
the proper mindset of wanting to be husbands who are providers and protectors.
Yeah.
So being a husband requires a man to have a certain level of maturity because it involves taking on a number of important responsibilities. It also requires being selfless, very selfless.
Mhm.
A mature husband may have to put his wife's or family needs ahead of his own.
Mhm.
And if he should be willing to make sacrifices for the sake of his family. He is also someone who is able to control his emotions, make sound decisions, and resolve conflict in a healthy way. You are the prime example for your family, your boys, your daughters,
Yeah.
your children.
And for the community as well. I think
Exactly.
it's big, and one of the most missing highlighted, need to be highlighted roles of a husband in a household, and the dynamic and what that looks like. So shout out to all the husbands out there who are doing it, and all the men who are looking to be husbands tonight. This will give you a good idea of how to live on purpose as a husband, because of course, the first the first means of living on purpose is to be committed to your wife and your family, and to be the best man you can be. So, like my husband was saying, you got to be mature and you got to be selfless, have that level already done before you get, married.
Yeah, you have to develop the intention of wanting to be of service to someone else. It
Yeah.
goes both ways, man and woman. We talked about the woman's role again, like I said last night, before man also too as well. To take up a wife means that you want to live your life for this person. You want to
Yeah.
support them. You want to be able to provide and protect, like I said before, for her and your children.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you're not getting into a marriage in order to have a slave by your side or somebody who's waiting for you hand and foot. No, that doesn't. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a husband, and we're going to continue to talk about this in deeper detail.
Mhm.
So this starts with taking the time to heal from any traumas or negative associations that a man may have before he can fulfill his purpose as a husband. So making sure you unpack all your bags before you get into a relationship, and making sure that you are whole and ready to be into a new relationship.
Yeah.
So this is because trauma can have a significant impact on a person's ability to form and maintain healthy relationships. Understand that
Mhm.
you can't have a healthy relationship if you yourself are not in a healthy state of mind mentally. physically at that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and we talked about that with the woman too. So it goes hand in hand. Both women and men have to be ready and healed when doing that. And the beautiful thing is, when a man is healed from his trauma, he is able to better communicate his needs and his feelings to his wife. So this ultimately is going to lead to less misunderstandings and conflict within the relationship.
Yeah, but when a man is healed from trauma, it is better. He is better able to trust his wife.
Yeah.
So this leads to a deeper and more intimate connection within this relationship.
Yeah, you don't get the negative associations of, oh, all women are like this way, or all women do this, or that's a common association when a man has been hurt, or even when a woman's been hurt, to try to say, well, dang, all is everybody like this, but no, that's not the case. So yeah, you got to be okay with the things you've gone through and actually heal that, so you can see your wife in a higher light, because that helps.
Yeah, and then you also too have to set boundaries.
Yeah.
So this protects him from being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And feeling overwhelmed in a relationship. So it's important for a man to discuss boundaries in the relationship, what you will stand and what you won't stand in a relationship.
And you need to be healed in order to do that, so that you know what not to allow happen to you again. You don't want, if a woman is taking advantage of you before this situation, you can, hey, no, these are the red flags to look out for, so I don't put myself in this situation, and then I certainly do not allow this to take place again in my next relationship.
Right, whether that's being used for money,
Mm-hmm.
For a trade, you're fixing some woman's car and she's not giving you anything for it,
Yeah.
that type of stuff. So that is abuse, whether you understand it or not. I understand you may be a willing participant, but sometimes you may be looking for something that you're never going to get. So when a man is healed from trauma, he is better able to be emotionally available to his wife.
Yeah.
This leads to a more fulfilling and satisfying relationship for both partners. So remember to heal your traumas and negative association. So get help from someone you trust if you need to,
Yeah.
and when you need to.
Yeah, please do that. Don't be ashamed, and don't be, intimidated of doing that. So important. Men's mental health really does matter, and I love that now it's a big shift on paying attention to this and bringing awareness to this and creating safe spaces to help encourage men and support them and allow them to express themselves and be. So certainly get help if you need it.
Right. And a man should want to be healed so he can be fully committed as a husband, which is his first purpose, to
Yeah.
love his wife unconditionally. So a husband's purpose is to love and lead his wife and family. This means being able to make sound judgment and lead his family in the right direction.
Mhm.
So here are some ways that a husband can be a good decision maker and leader. Number one, before making any decision, a husband should gather as much information as possible. This will help him to make the best decision for his family. Be calculative, making sure that you measure out whatever the situation is. Understand what strategy you need to put together. So number two, a husband should not make a decision without considering all of the options. This will help him to avoid any rash decisions that he may later regret.
Mhm.
Number three, weigh the risks and benefits. Once a husband has gathered information and considered all of his options, he needs to weigh the risks and benefits of each option. So this helps him to make the best decision for his family, even if it is not the easiest decision, such as those, God forbid, life or death situations. You never know when you may be in one and who to save first and all of this. These are things that you have to consider as a man, because more than likely you're going to be doing the heavy lifting in the case of any emergency. And number four, a husband should be decisive. Once a husband has weighed the risks and benefits of each option, he needs to make a decision. He should not procrastinate or delay making a decision, nor should he be fearful in this as well. Courage and bravery will carry you a long way in decision making. So understand that. Number five, if a husband makes a decision and then realizes it was the wrong decision, he should be willing to change his mind. It is important to be flexible and adaptable at all times.
Especially in this time, it's different. 21st, is this the 21st century? What do they call that? It's still the 21st century.
Yes, because
Yeah.
the next century, 1,000 years is 21. We're in the 20s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So it's much different than the 1980s, like different times. So to be adaptable, it requires, I think, a whole lot more of a man to be a husband now. So I like that, being flexible and adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And a husband's purpose is to help add structure to his family by providing a sense of stability, routine, and order.
Mhm.
He does this in a number of ways. A husband who is able to provide for his family financially gives his wife and children a sense of security and stability. So this can help to reduce stress and anxiety, and it can create a more positive and supportive home environment.
Yeah, he should probably be financially secure beforehand. We always talk about that. Well, you always talk about that in particular.
As much as
Mhm.
possible.
Mhm.
Financially secure, meaning that you're able to provide a two-person household income in the state that you live in. That's what that means. So a husband should be involved in the life of his wife and children. He can help to create a routine for his family by setting regular meal times and wake up times, etc. So this can help to keep everyone on the same page and make life more predictable and manageable as well.
Mhm. Hands-on dad or hands-on husband.
Mhm. So being involved also means spending time with your family, talking to them and listening to them as well. So
Mhm.
it also means helping them when they're with their homework, with their children's homework,
Yeah,
attending their sporting events, and being there for them when they need you.
that presence, it's so important. And I think, especially children really desire their father to be around. I know whenever you're not around for work or whatever the reason, our kids are always like, "Where is daddy? What's he doing?" Just being your presence, being around, makes
Mhm.
the world of difference.
Oh, let me set the screen up so we don't miss any comments and
Yeah.
things. All right. So where are we? All right. So a husband can help to establish rules and boundaries as well for his family. So this can help to teach children right from wrong and to create a more orderly and harmonious home environment.
Yeah, I think that's big, especially when talking about discipline
Mhm.
wise, especially sometimes within the dynamic of being a husband and a wife in the home. Sometimes the children will think mom's a little soft and not listen to mom as often, or may give mom a little, pushback, but won't happen with dad, right? Or
Right.
the husband,
Because all we have to do is raise our voice and tell them, what did she say?
It's like the
Do it.
startle of thunder.
Right. I call it the voice of God when the child hears the
Right, yeah.
deepness in the voice. And then children learn by watching the adults in their lives. So a husband needs to be a role model for his children by showing them things like being honest, respectful, responsible, and hardworking.
Mhm.
Those things evolve over time as the child ages.
Yeah.
What you're doing is bestowing wisdom upon your children, all of it, so that they don't make the mistakes that you've made.
Yeah.
So a husband sets a great example for his children by demonstrating these positive values and behaviors. So this can help children to develop into responsible and well-rounded adults.
Much needed, much needed.
Yeah.
And in particular, that example of like knowing what to do as a young boy and wanting to be a husband himself, he could see firsthand experience what it takes.
Right.
Like our son, because I have the luxury, thanks to you, to staying at home, our son gets to see that, and he always thinks, "Oh, I can't wait to go to work." That's his thing, because he
Yeah,
sees that.
because he think that's what work is.
Yeah.
I mean, today's age of what work is, teleworking after COVID, post-COVID, things have changed. Never thought that I would be working at home the majority of the time. I don't take that for granted. It's appreciated. And, like I said, my son sees that. So that's what he think work is. When I was young, I thought that work was working with your hands and sweating all day and pounding rocks and breaking things and digging ditches. That's, to me, that was work. I was raised on that type of work by my
Yeah.
grandfather growing up, cutting grass every Sunday hot. sweating all over the place, dust flying and
Austin
choking.
thinks that's work too, though, because he'll go out there with
Right.
you
Yeah,
and
he
it goes to
does.
fixing on the stuff. And,
And
yeah, especially
digging,
young boys, they
yeah,
pick up on
digging in
that.
the soil and
Hmm.
growing flowering gardens when we're gardening and helping with when I'm repairing the house
Yeah.
or anything. When I pull that toolbox out, the boys follow me.
Yeah, they know what's up.
Yeah, they just
Going
love to
work.
watch it and the drill turning and the noise, and they want to try. And I let them, turn some wrenches and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's the example, and that they see. So
Yeah, it's really important.
yep. So being a husband of purpose is a rewarding and meaningful way to live one's life. It
Yeah.
allows a husband to use his gifts and talents to make a difference in the lives of his wife, children, and community. It gives him a sense of purpose and direction.
Yeah, I think that's important too, because sometimes it's statistically when I've read different articles and journals and stuff, it's common that a man, when he gets married, he becomes more productive, right, within society. And I really think it's the taking on a family that just gives that man that extra oomph to really go after it, because he has kids and a family to really provide for. Not saying that a single man won't be just as motivated, but he certainly doesn't have as much motivation behind him like a married man will,
Right.
to be really persistent. That's why also too, like a lot of jobs, they're really
Yep.
they're really more apt to hire a man who is married, because it shows that he's focused, he's disciplined. What most millionaires and billionaires, if they're men, they're certainly married. It's rare, that you see one that's not. I mean, look at Jeff Bezos. He got divorced and back on it, married again, like that. Like, it's a common thing. It really does allow for, the sense of stability, not only within your own home, but just the discipline of, hey, this is my wife, my family, and all of that.
Yeah, and you speak on the jobs like to know whether you're married or not, because they know you're disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
There's a routine. You're going to come to work because you want to provide for your family.
Yeah.
So that's a plus for jobs. And there are a lot of jobs out there. So always drop that hint and say that, I'm a family man, and my leadership qualities come from that as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a jewel to drop right there.
Yeah.
For those people who may be interviewing, for those men out there.
Yeah.
So when a husband is committed to living on purpose, he is more likely to build a strong and lasting marriage with his wife. So this is because he is more likely to be loving, supportive, and communicative. He is also more likely to be willing to work through challenges and put in the effort to make the marriage work.
Yeah, men don't divorce that often.
Statistically, it says
Yeah.
it, but 20% of divorces are initiated by men.
Yeah, and
Ladies got to work harder at keeping that family together.
Yeah, right. That's so true. But not only that, like, just men are still getting married. They're just, I think,
Later
waiting, and
in
preparing
life.
a lot more
About-
because of that shift in time changing. It requires more to get married.
It's more than just time. I think it's
Yeah.
more economic than spatial time wise.
Well, I meant like the time change from like the 80s to like now, the dollar value
Economics.
don't go as far as it used to when
Right.
it came to, raising a family. So I totally understand that. But yeah, on the bright side, ladies, men are still getting married. It's rare I come across a man who says he doesn't want to get married, despite the common, narrative in like those red pill spaces and stuff like that. Men are really still looking to be married, and they're still getting married because it's rewarding.
Yeah, but they're looking for they're looking for a type of wife.
Yeah.
They're looking for white wives. They're not just looking for a woman.
Yeah. And we talked about that last night. So wifeconomics.com, certainly for those women who need to know more about their purpose and being on purpose so that they can get a man on his purpose. That's really important. But, I think being a husband in general, you will see the difference, especially when you're a good husband, and what it makes for the type of wife that you have. And in general, when she's in your life, she will certainly be happier, more fulfilled, and more confident when you really step into your purpose and you go after things. You're assertive, you're disciplined, like you were talking about, decisive, a leader, honest, trustworthy, all those great masculine qualities. It will really bring joy to your wife to see you step into your purpose, for sure. I think that Well, hold on. Let me see. Was that all? Did we talk about the rewards in general? Well, a little
Mm-mm.
bit.
So being a husband is rewarding, of course, but it is also challenging. So it is important to remember that marriage is a partnership and also a business as well. So
Mhm.
you need to work together to make it successful.
You know when people, I'm sorry to cut you off, but when people say it's a business, well, we commonly say that. It makes me think, what kind of business would a marriage be? It wouldn't be an LLC, maybe like an S corp, or what's the reason why I say like an S corp is because those businesses are really big on legacy and longevity and passing down the business, and keeping the structure of the business, and then focusing on the long term scheme of things within those types of businesses.
Yeah.
Just but yeah, the partnership, certainly, is one way. But
Yep, good insight.
yeah, but I think in particular, the man needs to know, his purpose, his role of what he wants his woman to do, so that then she can come in and, help him be a partner per se. But it's more so you still got to create that vision yourself. You still got to be that leader of that S Corp, that CEO, like it's a lot different. You can't just, I think a man needs to have his vision on his own first before deciding to bring on a woman into it. Like when I think about us, like you had already generally had a career and the idea of, where you wanted to go, the type of man you wanted to be, and all of this. So that was super important. And then I just came to help, further you along in your process as a man.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely got to have a plan. I mean,
Mhm.
in order to take a long road trip or any road trip at that, you need a map. We have GPS. That is your plan. So if you don't have a plan to get somewhere or to get what you want in life, where how are you going to get it? It's going to fall in your lap. No, you have to plan in order to get every and anything that you want in life, even if it's inherited. You have to plan for it, because if you don't, you're going to lose it.
Mhm.
So everything in life has to be planned, and you have to be careful in your approach and strategize on how you're going to maintain what you have,
Mhm.
and be intentional about what you have and appreciate it. So, that involves being a man as well. So, yeah. And
I will say one more thing there. I
mhm.
am glad that there are a lot more men stepping up and being that example of allowing younger men to see what it takes to be a good husband and to lead and have that plan, what that looks like.
Right. I
That
mean, because
the red pill spaces kind of set that stage for that.
right, and it has. I mean, we've half of us has grown up without fathers in our lives, so we don't have that example, and that's what that red pill community has taught us.
Of how to be a man, yeah, or speak up, and
Right, it gave you manly characteristics, mannerisms, things of that nature, letting you know that it's okay to be a man,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
and and also too, you know, it teaches you also to women, the role of women, and what naturally would look like in the life of a real man as well.
Yeah, a lot of focus on the negative aspects of
Right.
a woman for
And we like to
sure.
focus more on the positive
Yeah,
on
yeah.
things, but it's half good and half bad. You got to take the good with the bad, to be honest with you, in order to understand where you're going, where the culture is moving towards, and how to shape things for the future.
Yeah.
So you get my gist.
Yeah, awareness creates the opportunity for change, I
Right.
think, in particular. And
Right.
that's a beautiful thing too. So I don't feel any, sometimes I guess as a woman, some women are just completely against a lot of men spaces and stuff like that because they feel like it, may come down on women. But to be honest, I don't think a lot of it does so much come down on women as more so as it does highlight the things that a woman should not do. So if women can kind of look at it from that angle of not so much trying to come down on women, but then at the same time, a lot of that stuff is from the angle of being hurt.
Right.
So, we
What is
kind
it?
of,
It's subjective.
yeah, it is. Yeah, we kind of digress, but I just say that those spaces do help create more masculine men, and that's what we really need. We don't need the feminized men. We don't need the, soft spoken, scared, men. We need good, strong, masculine, assertive men to lead our families and lead our boys in particular.
Right. Yeah. I just hope we don't need to get to that point where we need all of these men to lead the nation.
What do you
If you
mean?
get my drift. Oh,
Oh,
I'm
well,
talking with
yeah,
all this
like
war
going
and
to
stuff going on. So, God forbid, cross your fingers. But like I said, but right now, communities need men, and more importantly, men who are husbands and
Mhm.
providers and protectors of their families and their communities as well.
Yeah.
So,
For sure. So shout out to all the men who are looking to be husbands. Again, thank you to all the husbands who are great husbands. Continue doing what you do. We appreciate you. And all the women, shout out to you. If you want to be a wife, we went over the wife yesterday, but this is how you know kind of what to look for when it comes to being discerning of choosing the right men. I certainly recommend wifeconomics.com though, so you can really garner the skills, be able to have the discernment and build up that discernment so you can know when a good man comes your way, so you can be sure to make him a husband.
right, yeah, I mean, and those skills and those skill sets in wifepronomics.com will definitely teach women and show women exactly what type of woman that a man is looking for.
Yeah, and
That
would
helpmate.
want him, like he would want to be a husband.
Right.
Like honestly, I think if there were more women who offered everything that a wife should offer, men quickly would want to be, husbands. That's just the natural law of things. I honestly believe, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think this is good.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Do anyone have any questions, comments, concerns, problems, issues,
Yeah.
conundrums, etc., etc.?
Yeah, shout out to Instagram. Thank you all for joining us.
Yep. Thank you,
And
Instagram.
YouTube and Facebook. Thank you for tuning in
Yep, most
on
definitely.
this Tuesday evening.
Yeah. So that's all we have for you all tonight. If no one has any questions or want to be a part of the show,
Let me get an exciting topic for tomorrow.
yeah, we really appreciate you all for coming out tonight
Mhm.
as we discussed a husband's purpose. And it may not be long drawn out, but it really is very important information. So
Yeah.
with that being said,
We
right,
don't need
exactly, right. So with that being said, Blueprint family, thank you all for joining us tonight. We will see you